No one tells me what I can or can't be, especially not some jerk who never had the guts to try to be anything more than a popsicle hustler.
All right, look. Everyone comes to Zootopia thinking they can be anything they want. Well, you can't. You can only be what you are. Sly Fox, dumb bunny.
I am not a dumb bunny.
Right. And that's not wet cement. You'll never be a real cop. You're a cute meter maid, though. Maybe a supervisor one day. Hang in there.
You guys are going to learn some tricks from this Trickster energy, okay? You have the Fox energy right here, okay? So with that Fox energy, this person's going to have you step outside your comfort zone. It's going to have you look at your career from a whole different lens, okay? You guys could have been looking at your career from a black and white perspective where it's like, okay, if I do step A, step B, step C, I'm going to get to this point in my career. You guys are releasing that type of thought process, releasing that old narrative, and you're embracing this new mindset that this false energy is giving towards you, okay? It's showing you the blueprint to get to your goals in a quicker way. And this false energy is also showing you the skill set that you had to take you into the next career journey for yourself, okay? You guys probably were looking at, your career from a outdated lens, so you're like, okay, well, you know what? I'm on this pathway here. I'm going to get to my, my place of being when it comes down to my overall growth process. And you probably tuned out some of the potential that you had to cross into other fields, okay? Or to look at some other industries to say, I can pivot into this other type of journey for myself. This false energy is going to have you see your abilities and your strength, okay? You're no longer going to be in the space of fear, okay, in this rabbit energy, okay? You're not going to be in a space where you feel like you have to over-talk yourself in the environment trying to talk about your skills or to impress someone else who is interviewing you. You're going to come in there with a sense of confidence. You're going to come in there with a sense of assurance when it comes down to your overall knowledge of your skill set. And this is going to set you far in the market, okay? And this false energy, it may be very blunt when it comes down to its communication, but it wants to have you stop looking at life just from that black and white perspective when it comes down to your overall growth. You guys have been on that hamster wheel when it came down to your movements and your overall viewpoint as far as where you see yourself going. And there's nothing wrong with having that fifth energy, okay? So you have the lamb energy right here as well. So you guys have this earth energy. Both of these characters, you have this earth energy that's tied to you, okay? But sometimes the lamb can really see things from a very innocent type of perspective, and you have this idealistic viewpoint where it's not that way in the real world, okay? And you guys probably, like I said, are really releasing yourself from that mindset. I'm getting religious. Some of you guys could have come from a religious background, so a lot of things that was really steered in the faith. Okay, well, you know what? If I keep going in this direction, pretty soon my rewards are going to be granted to me. This false energy is really having you step outside that narrative where you're like, you know what? Don't wait for this to come towards you, okay? With you guys probably being invested in your company, you're probably like, okay, well, I put in the work. Pretty soon they're going to put in that, promotion for me, or they're going to, really look at me as far as my growth opportunity. You're going to have somebody that's going to pull your coattail and say, no, you need to get your negotiation strategies, okay? When you go into looking for other opportunities, when you go into looking for other interviews, or you're looking for other things that really push you further, you don't go in with a perspective where you're like, okay, they're going to see my worth, and once they see my worth, then guess what? They're going to give me that money that I deserve, okay? That false energy knows that life is not in a black and white perspective. Life is very much so gray, and life could be very much so unfair, okay? And you guys are seeing that too for yourself, so you're pulling this fear away from you. Okay, you're no longer going to be tied to a sense of fear, okay, in your environment. You guys are going to sit with this false energy. You're going to be in this teaching seat, because one thing about the lamb, it's all about learning, okay? And the false energy has this teaching energy that really draws you in towards each other, okay? It's going to be very a close bond when you see this mentor or getting mentor. Some of you guys, this person could have been in their career for years, and they're seeing you as, someone that they can really instill in, the proper type of growth and understanding as far as how the industry works, okay? You guys could have been tied in the same industry, or you guys could have, have adjacent industries, and you guys are trying to be in this space where you're learning from each other, where you're like, okay, you know what? I see where you're trying to go into your career journey, okay? I want to help you get there, okay? I'm going to help you sort of like, go about the process with understanding what you're going to run into, who the people going to be a challenge in your industry. Okay. This person's going to give you a big major heads up as far as like how to go further in your career journey. Okay. But you have to go to them with, open ears. Okay. And really be in a space where you're looking to really learn, because as you sort of go into a space where you're not looking to embrace that change, you're going into it like trying to control the situation, you're going to just leave with a sense of fear, and it's not going to be something that you want to embrace with a sense of fear, because there is this level of expansion. You got the tarantula energy here. Okay, so that's all about being on your pathway, being on the right type of pathway, and this person's going to give you the shortcuts, okay? Because the false energy is all about shortcuts. It's all about, really looking to see what they can utilize in their environment to take them from point A to point B, okay? And you guys could have been scared to utilize shortcuts when it came down to your career. You're no longer going to be in the space of fear when it comes down to really utilizing tools to get you to your next level, okay? If you're seeing that you're stagnant in your career field right now, if you're seeing that the job itself is not really something that's meant for you to grow, you're letting it go, okay? If you're seeing that, okay, with your interviews, that it's turning into a level of you sort of over talking the environment. One thing about the false energy is all about letting someone else lead the conversation, seeing where that other person's mindset is, and then you see where you can place them. The false energy is very, slick when it comes down to, really observing the room, okay? You guys are no longer going to be embracing this type of rabbit energy where you're reacting towards someone's conversation. False energy is all about, I'm letting this person lead to see, are they really talking about, proper growth? Are they really talking about, development for me and my finances, okay? They're all about, okay, you know what, you're giving me A, okay, and then I'm going to respond, okay, to keep the conversation going, showing that level of interest, okay, but I'm not going to have you know all of my cards. The false energy doesn't show all their cards, okay? Sometimes you guys could have like, this heart on your shoulder. You could be very much so an open communicator, and you could probably turn a lot of people away in your interviews. So just be leery as far as how much you give away. If someone's trying to dig and they have this like, this personality where they're so personable and they want to, get into your brain as far as how you're thinking, hold back, okay? Don't be, in the environment with a sense of fear and you're oversharing, okay? Don't let someone talking to you have you in a space where you're reactive and then you're like, oh, wow, I didn't mean to share that. Like, for instance, if you're, in an interview and someone says, like, oh, you really active in the job market? We're looking to make a hire soon. Are you looking at many options? You're like, oh, yeah, I'm just out there. I'm trying to find something that sticks. Giving too much information. You guys are now learning how to be reserved when need be, okay? Not telling people about, personal details. Like I said, it's enough. It's conversational boundaries. You guys are in a space where you're no longer letting someone lead you into having this nervous energy, okay? And you're learning that. You're learning that from that false energy, okay? And your pre-shuffle is all about learning, and it's all about, knowing, to embrace someone who is a teacher, okay? And, some of you guys, this person could, really catch you off guard because you have a mindset as far as like, thinking like, okay, this person here, you got them in a certain type of category because you probably had that black and white perspective where you think, okay, this person's not going to really have that much to share with me or to give me that, that knowledge or that advice. This person's leading with a lot of strategy, a lot of understanding, and it's going to take you into your next level. Your abundance will grow with this person, and you'll know when to embrace the right type of conversations and the right type of interactions within your new environment for work, and also when it comes down to you interviewing as well, okay? It's going to be a major sense of confidence, and this person's going to really have you, sitting like a lamb, okay? Being in that teacher seat. Like I said, we can look at this from a religious type of viewpoint as well, just really being in this space where you're like, you're looking at it from an innocent type of lens from this person, because they're really opening up your mindset to really seeing how life goes, how life can work, okay? And with you taking in that knowledge, you're not just mirroring this false energy here. You're turning into your own strength. You're turning into this tarantula energy, okay? So the tarantula is all about, making its own connections, being in the web, okay? looking to see, how to go about proper communication with the right type of people, sort of being reserved, but also knowing what communication is coming from the left, what communication is coming from the right, okay? You guys are going to be in this happy space where you're able to, go into your new environment with a sense of stealth, okay? You're going to see a lot of, open doors, okay? Promotions, open doors, money being increased to you because you're not coming in there with this nervous energy, okay? With nervous energy, people were able to put you guys in a box really quickly. So even if they saw you as far as someone that had potential, they probably had you sort of in this boss perspective where it's like, okay, we could utilize your talent, but we're just going to have you here, okay? This boss energy is going to have you step out of that comfort zone. You're going to be in your new environment, okay? And people are not going to know your next move, but you're going to be able to sort of like navigate it from a very stealth-like perspective, and it's going to have people really look at you to see how much you're truly bringing to the table with your career field, okay? Let's go further into your reading with the tarot deck here. All right. Embracing change. That's one major thing I'm getting from you guys right now. Embrace the change. Don't fight it. Some things may be a little bit different, but it's worth the change. Just go into the positive direction with understanding that as time progresses, people are going to help you get to your goals and to your opportunities, but it may be different from what you're used to. Okay, so we had the Ace of Wands. Okay. All right, Six of Cups. So that wisdom. So we had Two of Cups. That partnership. Okay. You're going to make great partners that's going to have you in a space where you're going to have this foundation where you're going to learn from them, they're going to learn from you, but they're also going to teach you so many different new things about how to be successful in your new career journey. It's going to be a very healthy level friendship, a healthy mentorship. Let's go further. Oh, I saw the Emperor. So we got the Emperor card here. That's what I'm saying. That friendship, crucial. Okay? Knight of Swords, that means it's coming to you fast. Let's get some more cards here. Star card here, love to see it. Let's see. Two of Swords, don't be indecisive. You got the Five of Swords. No one's going to trick you with this, okay? Don't be in the space where you're second guessing yourself or whatever. Like I said, with you being in this new type of mindset, understanding this false energy, you're not going to run into the same type of tricksters that you did in your past, okay? Half of the tricksters that were in your pathway, they saw it and they heard it because you guys probably were oversharing at the time, okay? A lot of your nerves were sort of coming out and they were able to sort of know your plans, okay? And then that's why they could do your tricks, okay? They could do their tricks because they knew what was coming in for you, okay? You guys were oversharing. You guys probably were, really saying things that people didn't really need to know, so that's how they knew how to attack because they were monitoring spirits. Now, with them coming in with a smiling face doesn't mean that they had that trustworthiness, but I think for you guys, it just was a level as far as like, just being nervous in the environment and with you trying to prove yourself in the environment, you didn't realize how much you were giving away. Okay, let's go a little bit further here. Okay, justice. See what I'm saying? You're going to have justice in the situation, okay? All right, Five of Cups. Someone's going to be sad, okay? Like I said, you guys could be coming from an old team right now where they're going to look to see, oh, wow, you're gone because you guys know your work. Because guess what we have here? We have the King of Swords, okay? And the King of Swords knows when to end, okay? You got the last two cards here, toxic situations, okay? So you had, like I said, the Death card here, and then also you had the Devil card here. You guys are walking away from toxic situations, and you know when to call it out, okay? Let's get started with your reading here, okay? So the Ace of Wands, and we have the Six of Cups here. That truth, that knowledge, that, that fire energy, okay? Like I said, you guys are going to be really propelled into that fire energy, understanding that you're going to be put into a whole new way of living, your whole new way of life for yourself, okay? With this connection, like I said, it's going to bring about opportunities, okay? They're looking at you like, okay, you're like their younger self. Even from this, okay, it's earth energy, but when you look at the lamb, it's innocence, okay? This person sees you from a very innocent type of mindset. It's like, oh, wow, okay, I got to school you, okay? Even if you're older than this person, it's like, okay, I got a school uncle, I got a school auntie, we got to have this conversation because you guys can have a very like I said, this black and white perspective where it's landlocking you from this growth, and someone's looking at you like, oh, no, 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 it's time to unlock this key, okay? And like I said, it may be uncomfortable because you're used to seeing things from, your past limitations, or looking at things from like, okay, well, this is how it was like years ago, and this person's like, okay, yeah, I got you, okay? I'm here to help you. I'm here to make sure that you go into your next level, okay? And that's going to bring you into a sense of abundance. Like I said, that Ace of Wands is going to have you in this sense of abundance when it comes down to your overall growth and your opportunities, because you're the emperor. Okay, you're the emperor in the situation. What you embracing the new is going to have you in this emperor type of mindset that's going to take you far. Okay, and with this person, with the tools they give you, you guys are going to take those tools and run with it. Okay, you're going to take that insight and run with it. You're going to take that, that change that they're trying to instill in you and run with it. Okay. Because understanding that you're becoming the star in the situation, you're going to be the star in your new career pathway, okay? With having that understanding, having that knowledge as far as like how things work, and the career field that you're looking to advance into, okay, that's going to take you into this star-like mentality. And one thing about it is, with the star energy, this is a major difference from this rabbit card here, okay? Because the rabbit, like I said, the emotions, the the conversation, the nervous chatter, the nervous conversation. The star is sitting back pretty, okay? Sitting back pretty. They're not, like I said, this is Aquarius energy. It's all about the reserve. Air signs, you don't know what they're thinking like that, okay? And even when they are like, let's break it down here. Even when you're dealing with air energy, okay? Aquarius energy, one thing about Aquarius, they may, humanitarian, okay? But this is what people don't understand with Aquarius energy, okay? The humanitarian knows how to sprinkle it in. That means people know of them, okay? But they don't know the deep depth of the Aquarius, okay? It's all about, social networks. It's like they know that the Aquarius energy is the star of the room, okay? So you guys will have that star-like energy, but people don't know your business. You're not leading with that nervous energy, okay? You're leaving that in the past, okay? It's all about, really maintaining your level of, being in the star place, okay? Pouring into people, pouring into, like I said, you guys could be working with charities too, okay? Pouring in, being that cup for other people, but knowing when to have your emotional regulation at a very, healthy place, but knowing when to reserve your emotions and conversations with people that don't deserve your energy. Aquarius energy knows when to hold back. It knows when to, share what it needs to, but if it's not like, worth their investment, if it's not really worth their time, guess what? It's going to be this level of stoic nature with you, okay? It's going to have that stoic type of nature, and you guys are going to embrace that because you're understanding that, to get to your next level, okay, you're going to run into situations that, that you're going to have a new type of mindset. You're going to come in there with that emperor type of mindset when it comes down to understanding how you're operating, okay? Two of Swords, you're having that discernment to know, okay, who is not really for you in your environment, okay? And people are not going to be able to, mislead you. Like I said early on, you guys could have had a lot of people that came in that, derail your career, like, put in negative type of thoughts, okay, well, this person, they do work, but don't you feel that they're a little bit, anxious when it comes to, like, with training different people, or don't you feel that they're a little bit anxious when it comes down to, new strategies within the company? Be careful what you share, because like I said, the rabbit energy, and you guys are finally, you're aware of this. This is, like I said, in the month of May, you guys are moving into this new journey for yourself. You guys are aware that, you can't be in a situation where you're oversharing. Don't overshare any type of weaknesses. If you guys have someone that you need to talk to, you can, like I said, you have a family member that's outside of your work environment to talk to and confide into, talk to them. Going to a therapist, talk to them, okay? Being that, person that they're able to sort of like, pivot you into the right direction, understanding your emotional healing at the time period. That's essential. But do not confide in any co-workers in your environment, okay? Don't put yourself in a space where you're oversharing with these people, because they're going to turn your weaknesses and let people know, okay, what they are, okay? And you guys learn from your past that from that oversharing, okay, it had people really, come to you through this monitoring spirit, and it had the room turn on you, and you didn't realize, okay, what was actually going on, because they sort of led with that happy face, Okay, that happy type of nature where it's like, oh, I'm here to listen to you. There. We can talk about this. No worries. Now you guys know you had the wisdom behind it. Okay, and that's justice in the situation. Okay, you guys finally have your justice and your understanding because you're taking in from this mentor, from this friendship. Okay, how to go about, being in a different headspace, being in a different type of emotional space when it comes down to your new journey, okay? That's the justice of the situation, okay? Look at you got the boss cards here, okay? Like I said, the star card, the king of swords, and the emperor card, okay? Male or female here, you're embracing this masculine energy, okay? You're embracing this masculine energy. So you guys are coming into, that understanding where it's like, okay, I had the heart. The emperor has a heart for you, okay, but it knows when to share with people and when to say, okay, that's none of your business, okay? You guys are telling some people out there, none of your damn business, okay, about my personal life, okay? You guys are laying out your boundaries in this sword, okay? You got your new beginnings because you got your butterflies up here, okay? You're laying out your new beginnings and you're laying out your boundaries with this sword where you're like, okay, there's certain conversational boundaries that you're going to have in your office, okay? And you're learning from this fox. Okay, because you're avoiding anything that's going to turn into a codependent, toxic environment. Okay, it's not going to be no toxic contract. Okay, it's not going to be a situation where you're not going to be, fulfilled in your new environment. Okay, that's coming to an end. Now, you got the death card here. You're finally understanding how this world works, and with this earth energy, this is earth too. Okay, you're coming from the level of innocence. Not really understanding it, okay? You could be, sort of like stuck as far as like how things were in the past, so you're opening your eyes to, how things are changing, okay? Some of you guys are following yourself back into the market when it comes down to looking for, new jobs, so you're seeing how things are changing, okay? You're observing from this false energy, which is also earth, okay, that you have to have this slick mentality when it comes down to really understanding your worth, understanding people in your environment, okay? And then you'll understand how, okay, the world could be very, very much so upside down at times, and you have to be careful as far as who you attach yourself to, okay? Because, like I said, the devil energy is all about earth, okay? And you guys are realizing what contract or what type of environment is not really worth your time, and you knowing when to cut the cords on situations where, okay, you know what? I'm not trying to have myself tied to this toxic environment, and they're not going to use my emotions to have me tied into this situation either, okay? You guys are in this space right now where you're sitting very firm in your communication, and you don't have any doubt as far as how you're moving in with your communication, and also when it comes down to your career goals themselves, okay? You're in a happy space. You're going to see that open doors open up for you. And like I said, embracing that new friendship is going to take you into a whole nother level, all right? All right, y'all, this is your reader from the month of May. Looking forward to talking to you soon. Have a good one.
Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant. Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant.